welcome more Once Upon a Time. This is episode 20 of season 5, getting closer and closer now to the end of the season, and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next. Last episode was fantastic. Some cool revelations about Regina and Zelina and like their past, and the fact that they actually did have a positive relationship as sisters that they forgot about, and they kind of, I think, patched things up almost. Hopefully that sticks, we'll see. But now she's going to go off and try and have some happiness with Hades. Is that going to work out? God knows. Probably not, let's be honest. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see where that's going to go. But it also ended off with Zelina being taken away by Gold and Pan. So that's fun. I'm absolutely here to see more Peter Pan. I think we know this. It's not really much of a surprise. So exactly what they have planned for her, I'm intrigued by. So maybe we're going to see some focus on that in this one. Fingers crossed. I don't know if Hades is going to be too happy about what's happened to her. So yeah, it's all kicking off, obviously, because we're getting close to the end. I think 4 more episodes, this season. So we're getting there. But yeah, very excited to see where the story's going to go next. So yeah, without further ado, let's just dive into the next one.
I went to meet Zelina for our date and found this.
A piece of paper.
I'll take everyone's names off their headstones.
But will you? I don't know.
So, what do you say?
I enjoy Enna flashbacks.
Stop me if I'm wrong, but someone who stole money from a couple convenience stores in Phoenix got arrested and took off on bail.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, hello there.
At least the clamp matches the car. That's nice. But what's Pan's angle for doing this?
My body is ready to walk the earth again. Except for one thing. I'm moving hard.
Okay, there we go. Oh.
You sure about that?
I
I was beginning to think you couldn't get in.
Facts don't bother me much.
You picked the wrong team to back with Swan. You won't
feel like everyone's picked the wrong team to back. There's no good team.
Which is making me wonder why you're still here.
Yeah, I suppose you have a point. Rumble.
Yep. Oh. Oh wow, did it work? Okay, good.
It's time to split my heart so you can leave with us.
I love
Do it.
But now is this going to go wrong? I'm nervous about everything all the time watching this show. Uh-oh.
it. Should work. I died. My wife's heart brought me back. How long were you dead?
A minute or so, maybe less.
Ah.
I didn't think I recalled you entering this realm.
You sure in that jacket? I sleep in that thing too, huh? Honey.
I was thinking like that's it. That looks like her jacket, but like brown. Is she like inspired by her to like wear jackets? So I'm wondering where this flashback's going. Is the thing.
Sorry, Tasha. You want to know where you come from? Courthouse opens at 9 tomorrow.
Okay.
I know this myth.
Oh yeah. Yes, I've played Hades recently. I'm all about those two.
Orpheus helped Eurydice escape by feeding her ambrosia, the food of the gods.
Yes, you do that in Hades as well.
There's a test to ensure that only those who are worthy of eating ambrosia can reach it.
I like that everyone else isn't trying to stop them. I think probably because A, they know they're too stubborn to be stopped. But also because they believe in their love. Oh dear.
Yes, abandonment hurts, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Always thinking about what's in it for himself.
There's something in it for you too.
I'm gonna say pot, meat kettle. Ooh.
His box.
Oh.
You can keep him safe in here in exchange for a home.
I could watch scenes of those two all day.
We can't just sit around waiting.
And these two.
The underworld will function as it was meant to, a place for people to deal with their unfinished business without anyone getting in their way.
Yeah.
Oh.
The people down here don't even know what their unfinished business is.
But maybe he's the author.
Also true.
I can tell them.
You're actually helping us.
Yeah, you've missed a lot.
We can trust you.
Maybe you can.
Yeah, he hasn't been here for all of this, to be fair.
Who's there?
Uh-oh.
It's just me, Danny. Don't worry. You'll remember none of this.
What? Oh shit. Oh shit. No.
My jacket, the one you like to ridicule? It's my armor. What are you talking about?
It is going to be her inspiration.
I didn't have to give up a whole damn day to do this for you, did I?
Mike, why wouldn't you gonna keep you?
She kind of has a point.
Come on, kid, it's Arizona. It's not hell.
Yeah. God's sake.
Your unfinished business.
Aw, stealthy.
Realize how much resentment I held against basketball. Thank you.
Oh god.
When you get back, can you tell my brothers I missed them?
I will. You know, Leroy, Grumpy,
Oh.
he talks about you a lot.
I don't have the magic to keep you all penned in here.
But I do.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Consider it payback, Regina, for tricking those children into burning me in my own oven. Ta-ta!
Well. Unlikely BFFs, but sure.
Why can you only admit how you feel when one of us is facing certain death?
Her armor.
I don't know. I guess my armor's been on for such a long time that sometimes I forget I don't need it with you.
It didn't bloody work.
Oh.
And what's wrong?
Oh dear. Oh no. Well. Is this the test? That was the test.
You want your bail money that bad? Did you call security?
Ow! Do you think a security guard is going to show up and ask to see my license and give me my money?
Jeez.
They would want you to focus on what you've got now.
How do you know what my parents would want?
Because I know things and sometimes you would do yourself some
Oh.
good listening to me.
Oh boy.
Roger are dead.
I've been for some time.
You could still eat it.
Someone cut it.
Not somebody Hades.
Why send us after dead fruit?
Because he doesn't want us coming with him to Storybook.
Okay, so we can't trust him.
The blind witch's spells are always half-baked.
Unless this isn't her spell.
I don't know what's keeping him, but we can't wait. Listen, we don't have
You
time.
get your perfect life. Son of a bitch.
Have patience, Papa.
He must still be playing him, right? Uh-oh. Oh dear. Oopsie.
You don't call your family.
I am a family.
Oh, you're the same.
I took that 10 years ago from across the street.
He gave him up.
Let go.
Jesus, this this took a turn. I wasn't expecting this.
If I helped take off that armor, don't put it back on just because you can lose me.
Oh. Even though it's a really cool jacket.
Promise. Don't let me be your unfinished business. Move on from here. Don't wait for me to show up.
And I still think they're gonna find a way. Aww.
I gotta go. Bye.
Is this gonna be Tasha that she's like following or something?
I collected everything I could find about her. I have access to some records from work. I just thought you might want to know where you came from.
Oh.
Is she looking for me?
Oh fuck.
Oh,
Giving her what she couldn't find for herself.
hey,
Jacket?
did you ring this up
I never really wondered where she got it from, but I quite like that it's got its own story. Nice.
You did it.
Yeah, if you really wanted them trapped for good, you probably should have kept Emma and Regina in separate places.
People will find them.
I love that you did that. That's very wholesome. You've done something.
My something's wrong.
Whilst you were otherwise distracted, I returned Robin's heart to him,
Oh.
What did you put in me?
filled with water from the river of sorrows.
Whoa, shit! Why? Why are you asking why? Shit. I mean, I'm kind of sad about that because that means there's no more Pan.
Papa,
But I mean, I don't blame him.
good this time.
When I bought this jacket, it was meant to be armor. To protect me from getting hurt by those I love. And it's just a reminder that I have to protect those I love. That nothing's more important.
It is, but maybe through the portal. Whew. Well, shit. Okay. Very good episode again. This almost felt kind of like season finale-esque, I think, in a lot of ways, with, dealing with Pan, seemingly once and for all. People getting back to Storybrooke, but, there's also... The story's clearly not over, because, Hades has just double-crossed a lot of them, and what's Selena's reaction to that going to be? So, in that sense, it clearly wasn't going to be like a season finale, but it had that kind of epic scale to it and that feel to it, which I think is actually, for episodes that aren't actually finales, I think it's really hard to kind of capture that feel like this episode is the finale. It feels very unique to the final episode of a season, I think, personally, a lot of the time. But I feel like this captured that quite well. And yeah, a lot of really kind of emotional beats to it. I think I feel like, Hook's not going to be gone forever. He's not going to stay down there. They're going to get him back. They're going to find a way. Because, that's kind of once upon a time. And I'm pretty sure that's not going to be how it ends for Hook. So, in terms of that, it's not like absolutely devastating, like, oh my goodness, as it maybe could have done. But I am more so with that kind of things, more intrigued as to how they're going to kind of undo that or find a way around it, or what workaround is going to happen. Because I feel like it is going to happen. I just don't know how. And that's what I'm intrigued by more so than anything else. But still, I think the performances in this episode kind of across the board are really, really strong. Jennifer and Colin, I think, were fantastic in their scenes together, and their little goodbye scene was really well done. Just like little details of the fact that he would not let go of her hand until he physically had to. Like, that's really sad. So I thought they were very well performed as well. And I mean, I've praised Robbie Kay till the cows come home, basically every chance I get when he plays Peter Pan. But since this does feel like the final end of him, I mean, pretty bloody final if he's, turned into whatever and he's gone to the ultimate hell, I would assume. Which, to be fair, he does probably deserve to go to, don't get me wrong. But part of me is still kind of sad that that's probably it for Pan. And there's also a part of me that feels like it was a bit easy. I feel like Pan would not have trusted Rumpel in that moment at all. Maybe it is like sheer desperation at that point from him. But the fact that they'd also had Rumpel like betray him and abandon him in the very same episode, I feel like he wouldn't have trusted him again. So it was just like, they kind of had to simmer down Pan's character a bit and his intelligence a bit, just so they could have him be defeated once and for all, which I do think is a shame. But regardless, it's not a huge surprise that Gold would want to do that to his dad, and I did like the reveal and how that played out. I thought that was quite cool that, we had this setup with like he stole Robin Hood's heart, and I was like, I already struggle with you, Rumpel, but putting Robin in danger, I'd have, thrown hands. But I do quite like that. Just off screen, he kind of gave the heart back because he knew Pam was watching, so that's why he did that there. And then did that whole kind of setup with the trap and stuff and filled it with the water. I think that was a really cool way of getting rid of Pan. Like, the fact that he kind of got eaten up from the inside out, really, and he was killed by what was temporarily his heart, you know, because he's often seemed quite heartless anyway, and he's been very selfishly motivated in a lot of the instances, and he really is so evil. The fact that he was kind of destroyed from the heart, and that kind of spread outwards as he disappeared, I thought that was a really neat way of kind of destroying him for good. And yeah, it was great to get Pan back for this arc. And Robbie Kay is just so good in the role. I think Pan will always go down as my favourite Once Upon a Time villain. They're really going to have to do something incredible, I think, with future villains for like season 6 and 7 and stuff, I think, to really top that performance. Not that I haven't enjoyed all the villains, because I have. But yeah, there's just something special about Peter Pan. It's probably because I really like Peter Pan as a story. But him being the villain as well, I think, is a really cool way of kind of sticking to the original material more so than, you know, like the Disney adaptation or anything did. So I've really loved his interpretation. I love that we got him back, you know, for a couple of episodes in this arc. And yeah, just the relationship between Gold and Pan, I think, is so interesting, and I think the two actors play off each other very well, and they just sell that dynamic, even though, you know, in terms of like the actors, Robbie's clearly younger, but they still sell it, and I think, you know, that's just testament to both of them just being so good in their roles. So yeah, I do like how that kind of ended up in the end, and the fact that Gold was kind of Pan's undoing yet again, like it was in season 3. You know, that's why I kind of, I guess, feel like it was a bit easy in this one, is because it feels like there was like a real consequence to getting rid of Pan in season 3, because Rumpel died to do it, and then, you know, via him being brought back, you know, he was kind of a prisoner to Zelena for a lot of time, so he also had those consequences to bringing him back to life, whereas this just felt very kind of quick and simple way of getting rid of him ultimately. But nevertheless, I think it was a really cool thing to see that dynamic come to an end, and almost in contrast to some of the other like parent child bonds they had in this episode, you know, like the flashbacks we got with Emma, and I think her name was Cleo, the woman that kind of inspired her to get the jacket, and all of that. You know, but their actions there, you know, what they did for their daughters or whatever, what they were trying to do, and what answers Emma was trying to get for her parents, you know, that felt done out of love and stuff. And then you contrast that with that other key parent-child relationship on show in this episode, and it's just such like a different kind of thing. I did really enjoy that kind of contrast as well. So it felt right to kind of fit those stories in the episode, because I didn't really know where things were going with the Emma flashbacks when they first started, and then it kind of became the origin of like where she got the jacket and stuff, and where she had that armor, which then also ties into her kind of revelations at the end, and talking about why, you know, she could only really tell people how she felt about them when one or both of them were about to die, and what she was saying at the end now, you know, she's kind of redefined for herself what that armor means and what her jacket means to her, because she wanted to do what Hook promised, and that she wouldn't shut herself away and keep that armor up for everyone, even though it kind of came back to bite her somehow. She's now kind of redefined that as it's just a reminder to, you know, to protect the people that I love. So I did like that. I thought that was cool. So how the different like plot lines and the flashbacks tied into the main events again, it all kind of came together in a very satisfying way. So I liked that a lot. And just the flashbacks in general, I do enjoy getting flashbacks with Emma. Obviously, I think they're few and far between, but of course they're going to be, because it's not like they can have her find out that much that's irrelevant to the plot of Once Upon a Time prior to her arriving in Storybook in the first place, you know? Henry turning up at her doorstep. So you can't do too much, I think, in terms of that. So that's why I enjoy when they do pop up and they do kind of have a purpose and a meaning to them. I do think they're very fascinating. And this is a great example of that. I did like that, you know, this person who was tracking her down could relate to her in a way that's kind of like the opposite end of things. You know, it was the parent who'd given up the child but still, you know, keeping tabs on them, and, you know, I guess decided what was best for the baby. I can't remember what the girl's name was now. But it would have been interesting to maybe see like why Cleo gave up her daughter, like what the reasons for that were, and like maybe delve into that a bit more. There wasn't much time because Cleo was dying, but yeah, I did like that as like a contrast to the fact that Emma was the child who'd been left behind, and she was kind of having this experience with a parent who'd left the child. So I thought that was a cool kind of way of linking those two characters together, and it made sense then for Cleo's motivations for why she would actually help Emma along a bit, because it kind of helps her to move on and move forward and look forward, and that's kind of what Emma then ended up having to do in the present day, because she kind of had to let the idea of saving Hook go to protect the people around her, to keep going so she doesn't lose anything else. So I think the theming was very strong in regards to that. I thought it was very well written in how that all kind of pieced together. And yeah, it took quite the turn with Cleo's death, I must say. I wasn't expecting it to go quite that way. So yeah, at this point, season 5, we're still getting flashbacks to stuff that I think still is quite surprising. I think that's quite hard to do at this point, because you're like, well, we kind of know where things are going to end up, and we know they're not really in danger here because Emma's alive in present day. I think the more you do this kind of thing, I think Arrow also had that issue where the longer the show goes on, the harder the flashbacks are going to be to do, because it's just, they're not going to be interesting. I think Once Upon a Time has a good formula with it because there's so many different characters and storybook fairy tale flashbacks they can do. The flashbacks often just work well in the episode because it is really new stuff. It's not like it's only Emma flashbacks all the time in every single episode. But the fact that, that can be difficult, I think, to be like, okay, here we go, another origin story again. Okay, cool, we're doing the same old stuff. But, 5 seasons in, and they still do really good flashback stories, and very strong ones that I think are impactful and emotional, and surprising. I think it's really impressive that we can still get that. And I like that we had the additional one where, she found her armour in the red jacket. I know it's an iconic kind of part of Emma's character, so I love that they gave kind of that sort of a backstory. I thought that was quite nice. Like Spike getting his jacket in Buffy, is such an integral part of the look of the character. I like that we see how it happened, and not something I'd really considered, but it's cool to kind of know, and what it symbolises. It's not just, well, she wears a red jacket, why not? She looks good in a red jacket, and she does. But I like that there's a lot more meaning to that, and to then, as we learn what the meaning originally was, to see Emma redefine that at the end was also very cool. And a good kind of bit of character development, just in one episode, but from past Emma to future Emma, or present Emma. So that was all very well and good, and yeah, I did like her finding the child in the end and kind of giving her all the information on Cleo she had found. I thought that was really sweet. It's kind of giving someone what she wanted for herself but hasn't been able to find, and we as an audience know that she does find it, in good time. She just has to be a bit more patient. So yeah, I liked everything with that. I thought very, very strong flashbacks. And then yeah, I am intrigued as to the underworld. Are we just not going back to the underworld now? Are we still going to follow maybe Hook in the underworld? Maybe that's a way of keeping him around for a bit, or he's just going to be gone until, well, I would say, I could be entirely wrong, and that's just it. That's Hook's character done. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be like inevitable that he shows up again and they get him back somehow. Maybe we're just not going to see him until that point, or maybe we keep following him, or if the underworld side of things is just done, now they're all back in Storybrooke, and they can reunite with Snow and everything. I think it's going to be intriguing to see what happens with that, and if there is any ever going to be more of that. I feel like they did the whole thing with Quail and the Blind Witch, kind of, setting them all up and, throwing information from Hades, kind of trapping them in there. But also, it feels like there's a bit more to that. And, shouldn't those two kind of get some sort of comeuppance? I know they're kind of dead and trapped in there, but, it felt like maybe we should see them at least one more time, or are they just gone? It feels like that's just kind of been dropped a bit. So hopefully we do find a way to revisit the underworld a bit. And I just think the idea of it is very cool anyway. But yeah, everything going on with that, just, you think there's some happiness, and then, yeah, I do enjoy, they started Hades off, desperate for help, and he's asking everyone for their help to get Zelina back, and he just rips up the contracts and everything. It seems like things are going well, and that's your symbol in the TV show for, rapidly approaching danger and death, is when things are going well for people. And And still the back and forth, like, can we trust Selena though? Can we trust Hades though? You know, I'm kind of wondering, like, is Hades just going to be good now? But then, you know, there's more to it than that. He's kind of lied to Zelina a bit there, and orchestrated things so they couldn't get back. But they did get back, so I'm sure they're going to have something to say to Hades when they do. What is Zelina's reaction to that going to be? I don't know. And if Zelina's not happy about that and does something to like cool things off with Hades, whatever, how's he going to react to that? Because, you know, he's got his heart and everything now. I'm sure he can still cause some havoc. So I like that Hades is probably still going to have like the role of the main villain for the rest of this arc. So I'm excited for that and where that might or might not lead. But yeah, all the Underworld stuff I think was strong again. You know, Robin getting a few moments, criminally underused, Robin Hood. You know, there could have been a story though, I guess, where if Gold had actually taken his heart, but I'm kind of glad that wasn't the case. But just him kind of being thrown back into this situation, like, okay, we're ready to leave, great. You know, I've just been hiding with my daughter in the woods or something for this entire story arc. And I was like, what? We can trust Selena? Like, we can trust Hades? What's going on? I like that he was completely uninformed about that and just thrown into it, and he was like, this is a bit too much, I need to process this. But I like that it showed his trust in Regina to kind of just be like, fine, we'll give Selena the baby and everything. So I think at this point we can trust Selena. I think it'd be a shame to go back on that after how strong the stuff with them was in the last episode. But, you know, at least we had a bit of a reaction to events from Robin because he's just been so absent. So that was fun. I really liked Henry and his idea to kind of, even if they have to leave and take the opportunity to leave the Underworld, you know, as the author, he can finish off people's stories for them and tell them what their unfinished business is. I thought that was a really neat and very sweet thing for him to do, and I like that he's left that behind for everyone to move on. So that's cool. I really liked that idea, and it just shows, you know, I think how good an author Henry can be, and he's worthy of that mantle. And just little things like that, seeing Stealthy, you know, that was what, season 1 we had like the episode with Stealthy, and now they're revisiting that just for that little cameo. I thought that was really nice, and him saying, oh, tell my brothers I miss them. Yeah, it's really sad and wholesome. Although I guess he doesn't miss Bashful because something went down there. I want that to be an episode. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And just a neat little bit for Henry's character as well. So yeah, just a lot of good stuff and interesting setup for what might happen with Hades now and where that reveal is going, and you know, how is Hook going to come back into this tale? I'm sure he will. But yeah, some emotional kind of scenes with Hook and Emma, seeing, you know, that relationship be properly tested, and I liked how it played out with the test, even if it was ultimately pointless because it was just Hades' plot. You know, the fact that she chose Hook instead of, you know, getting her heart back, that was like the ultimate test in the end. I thought that was well realised. And yeah, because so much goes on in the show, you know, a lot of plot is happening, a lot of characters need to be juggled. I do like that. I think this arc in particular has allowed for it to really delve into the relationships between the characters, even like bringing old ones back into the fold, like, you know, Regina helping her father move on in the 100th episode, getting Pan back to explore more of the Pan and Gold dynamic, what they did with Cora in the last episode, even if I do kind of agree with a lot of people in the comments who said, no, I still don't think Cora particularly deserved to move on to the better place. I think that's fair. You know, things like that. And then the last episode was big for Regina and Zelina's relationship. This episode was big as well for Emma and Hook's relationship. And again, Golden Pan's. And to an extent, Golden Belle's, because, you know, it wasn't True Love's kiss. It didn't work, you know, it didn't wake her up. So she can't love him as he is right now. I'm glad that there is like a proper consequence to that. And Belle is like, no, you're not the man I want to be with. It's not just like it worked, because she'll love him no matter what. Because I don't think that's necessarily how love works. Maybe that's just the cynic in me as a child of divorce. But yeah, I thought that was good to kind of take a stand with that. And, you know, if you want that to work again, pal, you're going to need to change your ways or whatever. Belle's going to need to accept you, but I really don't want that to be the resolution, that Belle just accepts him for who he is, because who he is awful. But yeah, I am glad that an arc like this and a story like this really gives you some time to just explore the relationships between each other, because otherwise, you know, there's a lot being thrown at you. You know, with the whole Camelot situation, it was all just, oh, Merida's here as well. Let's give her this story. And then, oh, what's happened in the past? What's happened in these missing 6 weeks and stuff? And while, you know, I'm not saying there was never properly good relationship exploration in those episodes, because there was. You know, there was a lot. You know, they had to do like a whole episode about Merida for some reason. They had to do a whole episode about, you know, Arthur and his manipulation of Gwen, and, you know, making the kingdom as it was. And, you know, the show does have a lot of characters to juggle, as we see. You know, Robin has to spend this entire story arc just stood in the wood with his baby off screen. So yeah, I feel like that's a true shining success to this story arc, I think, ultimately. And I'm excited to see where it goes next, as we have another 3 episodes to go still. So the fact that this kind of felt like finale-esque in terms of emotions and, you know, developments, surprises, scale, revelations, I think the next 3 episodes are going to be quite something indeed. So I'm really excited for that. But another very solid episode. And I look forward to seeing where things go next, and what on earth Zelina's going to do about the whole Hades situation, because she needs to be sat down and talked to about this. And yeah, I feel like Zelina is going to be like key to where this arc plays out, with the whole Hades thing. So that should be really interesting. I can't wait for that. But yeah, very, very good episode yet again. And yeah, I think that's going to be everything. So until my next reaction, thanks for watching.